Really good to just get through our week, the process, and tomorrow again with our review and all that. But just great days on the field, great practice and preparation by this group, and excited really to just get out there and play a game, which they all are. I can tell they're just kind of chomping at the bit to get back to football here. So, but again, it's about our process. It's about just taking these days, each one of them. Every rep counts. Every rep is so important. We create us on that practice field, and the guys heard that message loud and clear, and gave great effort this week.
I guess you didn't see enough from Icky to feel confident that he'll be playing.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have to just keep taking it day by day, right, really, and we got him out there to do some stuff, and, just with, just how short of a window we had, we really just, like, every day he takes leaps. Every day he does a little bit more, and it's just like we got to just kind of go all the way. He's doubtful right now. We just got to take it all the way to the game.
Is he saying he feels stiff? I mean, does he feel physically 100%, or is it just about,
We'll take it all the way to the game.
Have you decided who would fill in for him if he's not able to go?
Well, Yash and Brady have been taking the reps, so we're going to go with one of those two guys.
Dave, Mathis injured himself Wednesday. Is that something that could be a long-term major injury, or are you kind of just week to week with him?
Am I good to just so unfortunately, Deari tore his ACL in the practice, and so he's here right now and is getting some preliminary rehab, and he'll be traveling to get operated on, and we'll be a part of his recovery process. I was really excited about having him here. A guy that really brings a couple of things: a big, strong corner, with great physical ability. Look really good moving around with that size, and also just his ability to play on special teams. So I was really excited to kind of bring him along and see where he fit in our schemes. So my heart goes out with Deari for sure. Especially this quickly, kind of changing scenery, coming over from Denver, and then to get here and have that injury, just really unfortunate for him.
Just to confirm, it was Wednesday when it actually happened.
Yes.
What happened on the play?
It was a non-contact, yeah.
Other than that, you guys have been relatively unscathed coming into week one. They talked about on the broadcast last night from Chris Collinsworth's perspective about how in week one you're typically more exhausted than you would be because you didn't have the reps and stuff like that. From a sports science standpoint, how have you gone about working with the new training staff and making sure everybody is getting kind of their workloads kind of managed in that first?
Yeah, Josh Hinks, Denny Kellington, working together with them, myself, Jeff Brown, with our rep counts, and really just trying to mimic the work that it takes to get a full week of football, throughout camp, and those days that oscillate with those players' day off, and trying to accumulate those amount of reps, so that we can handle that load. And we were fortunate to be able to have a full group to do it with, and I think it's just a lot of the body preparation going into practices, and then the recovery and strength stuff that was happening afterwards, and the confidence that I can go up there and say, guys, give everything you have in practice. Don't hold anything back. We'll take care of you. We'll monitor those things. If we have to modify days, we will, and just kind of working individual plans for each player, and just being able to keep that on our radar. But I think the freeing part for me as the head coach is I get to just push them, and I can throw hard practices at them. And as we continued to build throughout camp and seeing some good joint practices, those days, we were able to, get really high volume in the Houston week. Then we were able to come back in the week of Pittsburgh week to really get another full day with just us. But to kind of mimic that type of day with the move the ball periods and, finishing and all that. So I feel great about the conditioning of this group. But again, like was mentioned, when you get to regular season and those guys are all playing full speed, there's another level of speed that these guys go to, which we ask them to try to tap into, but just the nature of it, and the adrenaline gets going and all that. So that's an adjustment, but that's an external factor that our guys are, accustomed to dealing with and kind of, evolving from there.
A couple more.
There's been 2 seasons now where with Tommy rehab and JT's gotten so many first team reps in camp. When you go into the season now with JT with those reps and Tommy healthy, what does it do for this offense to have kind of 2 tight end 1 quality guys?
Yeah, these guys are like the heart and soul of what we do, and it was funny. We were sitting watching Thursday Night Football last night with Ashby and Ben, my 2 older kids. And Ben was kind of asking about the tight end position, and he was like, you don't see those guys get the ball a lot down the field, and I was like, yeah, but if you notice, every time there's a run play, those guys are involved. When there's a pass protection and play action, those guys are involved. And then in every pass game, they're a part of the concept, and those guys are so valuable. They're so versatile in how we use our tight ends. And so I'm happy to have JT, Tommy ready to go, Mitchell Evans, and then James Mitchell, of course, just, showing us what he can offer the team throughout camp. So it's a really exciting group, a bunch of young guys and a talented group, and really, I think Pat McPherson does a great job with those guys, just prepping them for all those things. I think outside of the quarterback position, tight end's probably one of the hardest positions to play.
The corresponding move for Mathis.
Not right now, no. We have a couple of thoughts and ideas, but not currently.
I was just going to, don't know that we've asked you much, if at all, this week about Trevor Lawrence and what.
Yeah.
Did you study him much when he was coming out, and just
Yeah.
any background or thoughts about what he presents?
Yeah, he's a winner, a fantastic athlete, and I think that I've watched him just continue to grow. He's had a bunch of different systems kind of thrown at him, and even throughout all of that, he's found a way to play consistent football. And I think, on any given play, like you see some special throws, and he had a lot of success with Brian Thomas last year, and they added a couple more pieces. So, this is a guy that I have a lot of respect for, not just the player, but also just the way that he carries himself, the way that he continues to lead through some, pretty difficult times, so that speaks to his character. And, I think that Liam's got to be really excited that he has that guy as a focal point of starting this program.
With the lack of injuries, how does that change your mindset towards the practice squad, call-ups as far as maybe special teams as opposed to filling out a depth spot that would normally be injured, I guess? Or
Yeah, I think you think about all those factors with the practice squad, and I spent a good part of this week also just kind of floating around the field to connect with those guys to make sure that they know, like, when you're out there, you may be running Jacksonville Jaguars cards. The coaching staff, we watch all that film. I watch both sides of it, and I'm looking for guys who are trying to show me I belong on the field. And we can go back to last year with Jalen Coker, who really impressed us, early on in the season when he was out there, making plays, making catches, battling on special teams, finding those guys are out there a lot, and typically there's 3 or 4 receivers. There's probably 1 or 2 tight ends helping out, and they carry the load, and that's on the offensive side. Defensively, it's the same thing. They don't get subbed out very much, so we're looking for the type of guys that can fight through things and still kind of have that attitude and mentality to show us, I can help this team. I can offer something, and they get full speed special teams reps as well. So all those things matter, and over the course of years, whether it was in Seattle or Tampa, and now here, I've seen guys on the practice squad be able to contribute.
Trevor,
Last
you've
two,
gone with
Alex.
you've gone with young quarterbacks and guys that have been in the league a while, struggled being number ones. Bryce, you've had. What is the common ingredient you see about all these guys? I mean, Trevor's in that same situation, in different systems. What do you see in those guys that it takes a while to get the best out of them?
Yeah, I think it's how quickly can we adjust. First of all, it's a two-way street. So it's the coaching staff being able to put the player in position to have success. And I take a lot of responsibility on that. We do as a staff to try to put Bryce, to try to put whoever the quarterback is, try to put them in their most, confident and comfortable place scheme-wise. And then there are things within the system that we try to ask them to continue to lead, to orchestrate, to really get that organized, and there's just so many basic things that you have to teach quarterbacks early on, that there is this kind of give and take and challenge that comes with it. And it's always the guys that have the character to just take every game as a learning lesson, to take every practice as an opportunity to grow. And I don't really think that ever stops. But I know that the learning curve is stronger early on for quarterbacks. But, I look around the league and, look at the Commanders and how they adjusted to Jaden Daniels' style of play. I think about C.J. Stroud coming out the first year and what a great job they did of putting him in his comfort zone, with things and, being mindful of what you're asking the quarterback to do, and Trevor's had a couple of different systems now. The way that I would approach it is I would build off on look, you've seen a lot of football, and let's find our version of what works for us, but you have experience in a lot of things. You've seen a lot of defense, and kind of lean on their experience to give them confidence. You can handle whatever this defense is going to throw at you, and and we'll grow the offense based on what we do well. But really just kind of tapping into that to remind them of who they are, and the good ones, they never forget who they are, and they remember what a great player they were at one point. I will be there again, and it's that self-talk, that confidence that continues to remind them, you can do this. You've done it before. You'll do it again. Just get back to work, and just kind of staying in that rhythm really allows the guys to find success.
Last question from Alex.
Dave, there's an interesting symmetry with you and Liam Cohen. Obviously, both offensive coordinators at Tampa Bay, and then get your first head coaching job. What do you know about? Do you have a personal connection with him? What did you see from him last year as a play caller in Tampa Bay, and just your general thoughts of him going into his first game?
I've had a couple of connections with him over the years. I would say probably for about the past 5 years. Going back to when he was at Kentucky, and Will Levis was there. He was doing some great things schematically. He kind of had this cool combination of the pro game and the college game, being able to use the rules of the college game to his advantage. And then, I saw him translate, as he went back to the Rams, but then when he took over in Tampa, I saw him really translate the marriage of a couple of systems, the run variety, the creative screens, the creative deceptive passes and different things, and just at the core of it, like really good fundamental football, So I got a lot of respect for Liam. I've really kind of just enjoyed, like sitting last year and just watching, the stuff that he was doing in Tampa, and kind of knowing those players, knowing Baker, knowing those guys, and seeing like, the possibilities of what you could do. So it's been really cool. I think, for us as offensive coaches, we all kind of look at each other's offenses and see if there's something that they're doing within a scheme that we might be able to incorporate, So he's one of those guys that I love watching what they do, and really just challenging each other. Like, I think that's how we grow this game. I think I take a lot of responsibility, as a young head coach and really a new offensive coordinator going into my 3rd years of calling plays. I take a lot of responsibility in growing this game, making this an exciting a brand of football, for fans for a long time. It's our charge to continue to advance it, but to never lose the essence of the toughness and physicality that it takes to play this game. But really just being able to take what the colleges are doing and say, look, these guys have been doing these plays for a long time. How can we incorporate some of those things into what we're doing? So I think Liam's one of those guys as well. How can we advance this game and make it a great product for all of our fans?